Hello, and welcome to the Federal Robotics and Cognitive Consortium Kofax edition for IOCR, Intelligent OCR, or as Kofax refers to as Intelligent Automation. The use case being shown today is a reimbursable agreement process where an analyst must first receive forms, and there's different types of forms. So first of all, the analyst has to determine which form it is, and then based on that form, extract data off of it. The next step would be to enter that data into the financial management system and archive the forms, store the data. So to set the stage, as I am the analyst, I come in to the office, and the first thing in the morning is I get my cup of coffee. So as I settle down at my desk with my fresh cup of coffee brewing away, the first thing that I'm confronted with are mounds of paper. How am I going to deal with this paper? And how will I be able to process? It's going to take me all day long just to do all this working with this paper. So wouldn't it be nice if I had a way to automate this so that I could use a system to identify the documents and then based on the document type, extract the information off of it, find the information on it and extract that data. So that's the goal that I would like to get to, is to be able to automate that so that I can do the rest of my job and do the rest of my work and not spend all day just trying to get this information. So a little bit of background about Kofax. It's not an OCR engine. OCR engines, we extract data off of documents, but it's unstructured text and it isn't perfect. Kofax uses this as input to the machine learning algorithms that we apply in our platform. So the OCR is the starting point to get to that data, but then it's not the only thing that we do. So just what is this Kofax TotalAgility platform? It's an overall platform that combines together, as you can see in this homepage, it has process designer, a forms designer to allow you to map out the process that you want to follow, and then use forms and the forms are really web forms to be able to use and interact with the information and route it accordingly. And as you can see on here, there's also integrations and other system settings and data modules to allow you to work with determine the type of data that you're working with, and then integrate with other systems. So it's a complete platform to allow you to incorporate all of this functionality in a single environment so that you can incorporate not only starting with the OCR, but then use everything along the lines. Now, a basic example of an OCR engine would apply an extraction method and get a specific result, but it's a limited approach. So some of the non-Kofax offerings don't usually have a whole lot more to offer than what that's typically able to do. The Kofax platform combines and utilizes multiple OCR engines with different extraction methods so that I can get alternatives and different results, and then apply and evaluate it to determine which is the best or the optimal result for any particular extraction that I'm working with. So it combines many ones together to be able to get the best results. Another aspect of the machine learning is identifying the documentation or classification of the documents. So the first thing I have to do is understand what documents I'm working with. So I have these 216s, 7600s, 38s, those are different document types. And then I put some samples together and use those samples to train the system. So I tell the system, I said, these are 216s, these are 7600s, these are 38s. And once I tell the system once, then I can then introduce other documents and it will recognize them or classify them accordingly. So I can use multi-channel capture or any one of these ingestion mechanisms, whether it's paper, faxes, scanners, portals, mobile devices, email attachments, or even data streams. So I can ingest the information from a variety of mechanisms, but once I import them or ingest those documents, then I can start working with them. And then as far as extracting the different documents that I'm working with, once it's identified, I can use forms to tell where that information is located. I can also use patterns to look for dates and addresses. And then for a particular document type, it knows what information to look for. It can find table information and find details that it's expecting to find in that particular document. So it's a powerful extraction technology. Now, it's both supervised and unsupervised machine learning. And what that means is, as the example I just explained, during design time, there's certain training of the system that goes on, and learn my example. So by introducing those those samples to the system, I can teach it what it's doing. And then over time, I can actually work with that. Now it's using some fairly standard machine learning algorithms to do that, but they're optimized for specific document types that I'm working with. But that doesn't mean I need templates. So those features go across everything. So the design aspect of it, whether it's the format, data type, absolute location, keywords, or geometric relationship, all those can be applied to it. And it does not require specific document templates for each one. And as far as training the models, as I mentioned before, there is some initial training done at the start of it. So I introduce those documents, I present them to the system, say, identify what they are, but then over time, as I'm working with it, the different operators will actually do live training. The online learning will then be provided into a knowledge base that will then continue working and understanding so the system gets smarter over time. So for the demonstration, just as an overview, I will cover some runtime aspects and extraction, document variations. I'll look at the accuracy and look at the different ways of validating the data and even exception handling, what I can do with that. As far as the IOCR, the cognitive capabilities and document classification and data identification are important aspects of it. And then with regards to the systems integration, being able to work with different systems, ingesting the documents, and being able to export it out to other systems is going to be the key aspects there. And then finally, the analytics to show the dashboards of what I'm working with. So to start out with, the runtime to cover the extraction and the document variations, the platform uses a web user interface, and it can include single sign-on. I'm using a logon screen just to allow me to go in and out as different users. But as I want to come in, the first thing I want to do is scan my purchase request. So I'm going to take those sample purchase requests and using the scan, and if I was connected to a scanner, I could do it directly through here. Or when I talked about the multiple channels of capture, I can include those. So if I could also drop all of these documents into the scanner and push the button and include it or attach them as an email. But as you can see, as I click on each of these different documents, the system doesn't know what they are yet, just that they are documents that are coming into the system and do have multiple pages associated with them. So as I create this job, the first thing I want to do is takes me back to my work queue, but I want to show you what the workflow looks like. So for this example, in this scenario, I've got a very simple workflow here, but this is showing all the different ones, the current jobs that I have in play right now. And I want to go in and view that job. And what that means is it will display the process flow that I'm working with. So notice I have, this is built using the process designer. So when I show that TotalAgility homepage, the process designer, and I built kind of the capture and transformation activity. The validation is what I'm going to show next. And this is where I can come in and make sure that the information is correct. And then ultimately, I'm going to export this information. So back to my work queue, I've got these different queries in here. And if I click on the activities, then I can show these are the ones that are either assigned to me or the group or a group that I'm assigned to. And I've got certain service level agreements or these indicators which change colors based on the configured time. So as I click on this first item in here that's showing that I've got this activity is waiting for me to do something with it, what I'll do is it loads up, shows those three documents. Now, the default behavior tells me that everything is valid and correct, and I could continue processing, but I wouldn't have anything to show. But I want to show some of the aspects of the form designer, which generates the forms in HTML5, which make them available to all of the computer, tablet, or mobile. So now we get into some of the IOCR or intelligent automation capabilities. So first of all, it identified the document. So you can see in the navigator on the left, it's got the different document types. In the middle, I'm going to show you some of the form designer aspects of it because I've taken this document and used different sections of it to break it up to make it more visually easy to work with. So if I go back to this top section here, I can click in any one of these fields and you can see it being highlighted on the image itself to show you where it's getting that information from and that it's and it's green because it's confidently extracted the information. So as I tab through this, all the different examples, there's many fields on this particular form. And even as I go through getting all these different numbers and associated with it, I'm even taking the information to show that this is the box that's marked in this section here. So it's looking for markings to get that to be able to then export to the other system. So I've got other information like dates here, so I can see the date that I'm working with, and more of those different selections here. So it's showing the value that's being selected. So then that gets passed into the financial management system to continue working with it. So if I change my view a little bit, so I expand this out, collapse the navigator somewhat, and also click on this approvals tab, I can show you some other information there. In this case, in my approvals where I've got signatures, I can't even read the signatures myself, but all I'm allowing or having the system do is tell me, indicate whether or not it's been signed. So this particular document, I use a blue color screen just to show a simple example of the form designer, and I changed the color for the different document types. So it was blue. Now for this document type, it uses a greenish background. But similarly, as I tap through the different fields, you can see the results that are shown for it. So I can see the details of it for each one, and it shows the associated information similar to the previous document that I had in there. But in this case, these are all different fields, and it's different information. And not to get too redundant here, but in this case, I changed the color again for a different document type, but it's also gathering different information. So in this case, I've got all the details here that once they populate or once they're sent to the financial management system, will allow it to accurately track this particular request. So as I complete this activity, what it will do, since everything is valid in here and correct, then what it's going to do is then export it out. If you remember from my workflow, after validation, then it gets exported out and connecting to other systems. Now, if I was connected to a financial management system, I could send it directly because we can use called web services or other mechanism. In this case, I've got the image here, and I've just got it exported out to the file system just to visually show an example of what we can use. So in this case, I'm using XML format, but as I explained earlier, I can map this into a database, or map it into a web service call to another system. Now, to go a little bit under the hood, kind of more details on some of the other samples that we had to work with, as opposed to copies of faxes and using those, and because they're going to have degraded quality and not have all the information. If you recall from previous, when I talked about the multi-channel capture, faxes is one of the means of ingestion. So I can fax directly into the system. I don't have to print it out and then scan it or copy it back into the system, which is going to degrade the quality of it. I can fax directly into it. And then with regards to handwriting, I can use things. I mean, if the form has comb boxes, I can get very good results off of it. But just like I mentioned before, Kofax has multiple OCR engines to work with, and some are specifically for handwriting. So using those multiple OCRs and different locators, I'll show you a little bit. This is a deeper dive here behind the scenes within the designer that's used to do this. So as you can see, I've got this whole listing here of all these different locator types to include a database locator. So something for handwriting can be greatly enhanced if there are serial numbers or something else that I can look up in a database to help match against it. Now, if I edit these fields and show you, here's where I'm getting somewhat results with this raw data here, but it didn't get this first number correctly. But as I tab over to the second number there, the amendment mod number that's listed there, it did get it correctly. And it's got some of the name that's in here. What I would do is further work with this to get more details and even apply, like I said, Kofax platform uses multiple OCR engines, and I could use those and combine together and then evaluate to try to get optimized results. But freehand text or handwriting is going to present some problems to work with. And now, Now that I have, again, as I have all this information together, I want to be able to track it. So here I can see dashboards. I can show for my activity where they are, what queue they're in, and what they're waiting for. Some of these SLAs or service level agreement pie charts here. Once I click on it, I can get full detailed reports that shows me, all the jobs. In this case here, all the jobs that are in this particular within the service level agreement, and I can change it to show breakdowns, to show the in the upper left-hand corner the current jobs by source, where the emails, attachments scanned into it. And again, I can click on some of these status emails to see, our status charts, to see further drill down capabilities, even for the different document types. So I've got types and tracking it by day, which documents that I'm getting and the types that I'm working with. I can monitor and track all that so I can see and predict some of the behavior that's associated with it. So to recap the demonstration, I did cover some of the runtime and accuracy aspects of it, to include the IOCR capabilities, or Kofax refers to as intelligent automation, because we expanded out even further to get more details of it. Integrating with other systems, many formats to do that, and then our analytics to further monitor and track the the all the performance of the system, and keep track of everything else. But ultimately, I'm going from the stack of papers here on my desktop to automating this and having as much as this have straight through processing as possible, so that I can simplify to get to the end results that automatically get sent to the systems that I want to work with, the financial management system, and do the work. So I don't have to spend all my time working on that. I can allow the automatic system to do all that. So thank you for your time, and please come visit me at the booth.